Okay. David, welcome to the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast. Thank you so much for being here in this interview today. And you are the president of WITI. For those who are unfamiliar with WITI, could you tell us about it?
Sure, WITI, WITI, the acronym stands for Women in Technology International. It's a company we started in 1989 to really create a community to have our members that are about 85% women, the rest are men and other genders. Just really have a place for them to connect, build their brands, and support each other to get to the next level.
So, why do you think it's important to empower women in technology?
Well, at that time, the conversation was really about women approaching 50% of the workforce. But here in the States, only 4 to 5% were getting into management and upper management positions. We
Sorry,
had
only
had
4 to 5 or only 45, you said?
only 4 to 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Uh, right. So we had a company, we worked in the tech industry, mostly Silicon Valley companies or excuse me, down in LA where we were based. It was aerospace, defense, and entertainment. My mom had started our first company, Criterion Research, and that's what we would do. We would find technologists, we'd build databases for our clients of people that had skill sets in different areas of tech. Our clients did not care, men, women, anything. They wanted to just find people with the tech skills. In 89, she had this data came out, so she had been reading a lot about that. People were just starting to use email, and coming from a teaching background where these issues weren't as abundant, she just felt there must be some type of communication breakdown. And as people were just starting to use email, WITI was born just to create, for the individuals, that community to support each other. And then for companies to help them understand the opportunity that they have to leverage all of the talent. So I kind of took over Criterion Research and supported her and she started WITI, and here we are 34 years later.
Wow. So I read on your website for over 3 decades, since 1989, we have and continue to do one thing exceptionally well. We actively and strategically provide consistent opportunities to establish key relationships that unlock growth potential. So what changes have you observed since its creation? So there must have been incredible changes. I mean, do you think women are more interested in technology now since its creation?
I think yes, women, all of us, as technology's pushed out to all of us, I think there's a lot of things nowadays we take for granted that's very technology driven. If you ask some kids, girls or boys, or kids in college, are they, do they know about technology? I'm not a technology person, right? I hear that a lot. Meanwhile, they have a supercomputer in their pocket and they're able to do things that we couldn't even, relate to. We're their ages, or me at least. So I think that, yeah, as technology's evolved, as we've evolved as humans, there's just opportunity to leverage technology. And I think for women, confidence, understanding where just how great they are. And sometimes we need to remind them of that because sometimes, things they take for granted are like amazing. We all do that, I think. So yeah, I think, there's different kind of pieces of it.
So how has the organization evolved then since its beginnings? I guess it's a global network now. How did it start and how did it evolve?
Sure. It started on email, just kind of as an email network, and things grew when it had a lot of its big growth in the mid 90s. Um, there wasn't, we didn't have a lot of tech. The web was just kind of getting going. There wasn't necessarily bandwidth and infrastructure to support that. So as things evolved, started out, we'd have groups in different cities, have bigger conferences. Fast forward to where we are today. Well, in 2019, leading up to 2019, 2020, we continue, we started to do some things online. We'd have 2 or 3 events a month. There was always kind of the platform for communication, and we do a lot of physical events. As COVID moved in, we went 100% online and really pushed to support just to make things available for our members, for we have micro communities within WITI that are broken down by either skill set or industry industry people work in or want to check out, or geographical location. And then we have things like a writing community, so we can help our members if they want to write a book or get published thought leadership papers, and we can help them both with the writing and brainstorming for that, as well as promoting it to our audience.
Great. So go back to the pandemic. How have current trends related to remote work influenced your organization?
I think it's been good. I think from how companies had worked with women, they are in the States, and I guess globally too, they have these diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, DEI. Many of them, I feel, are driven by compliance or managing risk, when in fact, rather than opportunity. I think when COVID happened, a couple things happened. First of all, a lot of the promises that the internet first had came to life. People can work from anywhere, and we don't have to have people stuffed in offices. We can recruit people from anywhere, and they can contribute to development teams, that type of thing. I think as that happened, a more flexible work environment, creating cultures in companies to give everybody an opportunity just to be in their zone and work the way they work. That's what we're all about. One big project we worked on during the pandemic was an update to the federal glass ceiling report. And that was an initiative that launched in '89. Our government formed the Federal Glass Ceiling Commission, kind of based on the data that led to the starting of WITI, to take a look at, if we're not leveraging this talent, and that's the 4 to 5% of women and underrepresented people in management, upper management positions, how could we compete globally? So they had this commission they put together. In '95, they published the first report. They had reached out to us because which really was the first Women in Tech conference in 1995. And we worked with them, and they had asked us to help get the data out to the tech industry. And then more recently, we just updated that data to, just to take a look at, what do women want in our case? How can companies support that? One thing we discovered during our research is a term we coined called the glass step, which talks to women with 15 to 20 years experience at a company, loads of institutional knowledge, that just really don't make it past an individual contributor or supervisor role. And then they leave and go to competitors in a lot of cases, or start their own companies. And this is just talent that they're letting go, that's costing them a fortune, and they're missing out on opportunities. So yeah, I think a lot of it is helping bridge that gap and connect people, right? I think with the online, how I met Wayne, we're part of a global men's community that I'd been involved with for years, and it was always just in LA, and we'd meet on Saturdays and open up with the web. now we have Zoom meetings, and you'll get thrown in breakout rooms with people that you may not have met in a physical event. But we kind of came in via shared values. So I just think things have just started. And I feel like it took a pandemic to really shake things up and shift this conversation, why women are part of these EI programs. I've always been puzzled with, I know that they're to support underrepresented people, but women are half the workforce, and so rather than understanding that you and I, right, we may see something that happened, and I may solve it one way and you may solve it a different way, and it's both leveraging our innate skills and talents. And if I tried to do it right, if I tried to do it the way you did it, if you tried to do it the way I did it, the company would probably be losing out on a lot of stuff we have to offer. So,
and have you taken into consideration like things like women's life choices, such as choosing to become a mother and combining that with a tech career? Has that been something you've focused on or considered at any point?
Yeah, I think it's out there. I think many of my friends that have had kids while they were working seem to do tons while they're working. Not that they want to stay on the clock forever, but just managing stuff they need to be responsible for. It's phenomenal how my female friends do that type of thing. I don't think it's this big, is she gonna get pregnant and be gone forever? I just think people can choose what they want to do, and I think companies should really be there to support that, not look at it as a negative. Yes, I think there's definitely should be plans that companies have, and I think it's just managing all employees. I mean, who knows, right? It's getting pregnant, starting a family. Do they want to continue to work? Can they hire? Can they job share? Men, they want to be involved in family too. I don't know that it's 100%, all women obviously having the kid, but I think these are just what people want, and I think there's been a lot of re-looking at what's important in life, as with COVID and just seeing the terrible things that have come out of it as far as people, losing people in our lives, makes us rethink things.
So you're in several countries then, I suppose, you're as an international organization. Was it always international from the beginning? And what kind of international representation do you have at the moment?
Oh, sure. I mean, pretty much started in the LA area, and then Silicon Valley we moved into after a couple of years. And when we had our first conference in 1995, I think we had people from 10 different countries join. And it was just amazing. We had two of the women that were featured in the Hidden Figures movie show up. We thought we'd get a few hundred people. We ended up getting like 3,000. People had to mail in their registrations, right? Like that's stuff we can't even imagine.
Wow.
So yeah, we have WITI communities all over the world. Africa's growing for us quite a bit. Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Middle East, a lot happening there with Dubai, a lot of tech happening there, throughout Europe, of course. I think you're in Spain, Venus, right?
I am, yeah. I was going to ask you what you have in Spain.
Not too much currently. We partner with a Mobile World Congress that's in Barcelona every year. That was kind of the first tech show that got canceled with COVID. I'm like, oh God, this is serious now. So we look for leaders that want to take things on. We certainly have people join our events from all parts of the world. We look for leaders that want to leverage our platform, add value to the community, get value from the community. With WITI, when we started, we're a for-profit company. developed a business. My mom wanted to start a business that did great things for the world and would build a great business. She got a lot of flack from that, both
Really?
from many of the women. The companies assumed we were a nonprofit. We had three of the biggest technology companies in the world for our second conference threatened to pull out because they assumed we were a nonprofit. A lot of these initiatives, as you look at different women in tech type groups, are nonprofits.
And why does that matter?
Yeah, it surprises. I don't know. I think companies want a way to, in a lot of cases, to leverage some of their funds that are used for that stuff. I personally feel that disempowers women a lot. We do not want to see women to be seen as some type of donation or charity case.
Mm-hmm.
We want to build wealth amongst women. We feel when we do that, women certainly support many philanthropic endeavors, and it's their choice to really make the world a better place. We saw it at WITI, right, with a lot of this DEI stuff, where when we first, when Carolyn, my mom, started WITI, I had started working with a small software company that we ended up growing to the #2 software company in the world. And my job for them was really to just scout the world for technology people to bring to them, or heads of sales, or whatever it was. And then as WITI, when we had our first conference in '95, our message to the companies, because they had never seen anything like this, was if you want to have recruit women to join your company, retain the ones that you do have, it's a little different than men. You can't just do what you did for men and now do it for women. Women are going to be interested. They certainly want to know about the cool technology that you're building and what you're doing, but what are you doing to help support the human condition and the planet and do good things for the world? What type of culture do you have? So if they do need to pick up the kids, or just kind of shift their work schedule, that they could be treated like an adult that can just take care of their business, not expected to to kind of work within this strict paradigm. And that was good. I think the companies really got it that were participated with us. Many of the tech companies, probably until the end of the '90s. The web browser came out 95, 96, the Netscape browser, the internet was just pushing. So that was just coming off the growth of the PC industry. And then companies started to bring in these heads of diversity that were very compliance driven programs. So we saw, like, many of our partners go from having a huge booth where they'd show off all their technology, like a big computer trade show, and sending hundreds of their women, to then just having two recruiters there collecting resumes because they were trying to count and show that, oh yes, we're trying to hire women, we're trying to hire Black people, we're trying to hire, disabled, LGBTQ plus, whatever it was, when it's not even about that. So then the .com, disruption happened in 2001. And the first thing that got cut was a lot of, personnel programs and, again, what they call diversity or whatever. I'm not sure why women are being treated this way as part of these programs.
Okay.
If
So
that makes sense.
definitely,
It's just
yeah.
my world. Okay, go.
Yeah. So about your organization, so if you become a member, what kind of benefits do members enjoy? Tell us about the
Sure.
membership.
Oh yeah, we have many coaching programs. People can participate in coaching circles. We're starting actually on April 6th, this Thursday, our generative AI think tank. So, I'm sure you've seen, I don't know if you've used any of the tools yet, but ChatGPT and a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
these.
just started recently. It's so
I did.
interesting. Oh my God.
And it's like growing so fast that we now have a weekly hour just for our members to come in and learn about the new tools and how can they use it to make life easier for themselves and stay on top of things. It's like impossible for us to do it individually because there's so much happening so fast now. So that's one of the things. We have weekly many of our communities meet monthly. Like we have an agile community for project managers. We have an ag tech community that agriculture, technology, or are interested in checking it out. Many of these non-tech industries are their tech piece is growing so fast. There's huge opportunities for our members and for everybody. So we really want to create safe spaces for people that don't know about those things to like come in and check it out. And if they work in that space, to just build more meaningful relationships. So yeah, we have about 30 communities that are more active than others that meet like once a month. It's usually about 30 minutes of some type of talk or educational piece, followed by 30 minutes of Zoom breakout rooms so they can connect with each other and just, meet new people.
What about recruitment? You offer that type of service as well? People want to find work in the tech space?
Oh yeah, we do. We do that ourselves. As I took over WITI more full time, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. We do have I lead a job search strategy coaching circle every Friday because now it's really, I think, up to the candidate to go find where they want to work.
Mhm.
There's too much information overload, and I think just submitting an application to a company can sometimes be more like a lottery ticket in a lot of cases because it may never get to that hiring manager that needs them. We do have, and then we have search services too for our partners, but we keep our membership, like we don't allow recruiters because we want our membership to be very pure and just practitioners building relationships. So many of our corporate members, we may power their employee programs. We don't want them to think, oh, there's going to be recruiters, they're stealing their people. We have a very so we just deal with it differently. If our members are not in a place where they can be authentic and fully self-expressed and work in their zone, then we want to support them to find a company that more aligns with how they work and their values.
And you also have courses, I saw.
Yeah, we do have courses. Those actually, we spent the last few months redoing those. So they're just starting to roll out. I think the first one's going to be around AI project management. So these are going to be 4 to 8 week courses that are more intensives that people can take and grow. We do provide for all those individual sessions I mentioned, as well as for these intensives, certificates that they can use. So if they're like a professional project management professional, a PMP, or if they have many acronyms and certifications in the tech or project management space, will accept our certification, our credits, our certificates. Yeah. So
AI
now they
project
can.
management sounds intriguing. So what is that exactly?
What is what?
AI project management. It sounds very
Yeah.
intriguing. What is that
Well,
exactly?
again, it's just how can you leverage these AI tools
Mhm.
when you're in a project management role to manage some of the stuff. Yeah, there's some pretty cool articles I've seen coming out. Some of it we're going to talk about on Thursday. And right, so it's just looking at projects using something like Chat GPT to then put information in and have it build out a schedule. I think with a lot of this generative AI stuff, it's not about just, oh, I'm going to press a button and then it's done. It certainly requires a human to go in and double check it and tweak it, but it can take a lot of the lift off.
Mm.
We use it at WITI for programming. Our programmers use it for our core database and infrastructure. We use it for writing descriptions for courses and that type of thing. So it's an exciting time. I know you said you just
I
started
just started
checking
recently.
it
I
out,
just
right?
found it revolutionary because
Yeah.
it was just incredible. Because I'm writing about like sex tech and femtech. That's my space. So a lot of it, it will say this is against the community rules, but it'll still do it. You know, because it's very interesting. And it's just interesting how you can ask it anything and any kind of type of tone, first person, third person, whatever, and it just comes out. And also I've tried to do some creative writing on it as well. That's been incredible. I could not believe and how fast that was. And to try and read something in a different voice as well. And also translation. So obviously I'm a Spanish speaker. I'm English, but I live in Spain. And right now I'm kind of translating a lot of my Spanish articles that I've published in press into English. And the translations are amazing. They're much better than Google Translate, because Google Translate is very bad. You know, but this is amazing. I don't have to tweak that much. And I'm quite amazed at how much time that saves. So you do have to double check it a little, but it's just fascinating how fast it is. And I also outsource some work to copywriters, and they said, "Can I use ChatGPT?" I'm like, yeah, sure. So it's just amazing how this because I mean, as a human, it's just so much. And if I get writer's block, that's what's really changing as well. If I get rid of writer's block, I'll just write a couple of prompts and I get it back, you know, even if it's a creative.
Totally.
So.
I mean, I think people like hear, oh, it's the end of the world or blah blah. Right, just like writer's block, pop a couple things in, get things going, and then you'll flow, right? Yeah, so there's some good stuff happening. Do you know Cindy Gallup, by the way? Do you know Cindy
yes, yeah. I mean, I follow her on Instagram. I think her stuff is really interesting. Her philosophy. I'd love to get her on the podcast as well. So I think
happy to intro the two of you. She's
amazing.
Really?
Okay.
When she launched her company in 2012, we had her speak at she had keynoted our conference, and yeah, amazing lady. And I'm sure she's very amazing. She's just awesome. And I'm sure if you even just reach out to her, she'll be, you know, she's great. So anyway,
she's been on my list for a while because I like the way she promotes like normal people and condoms, especially, because that's something I think is very important to maintain a good message and safety, etc. One thing I'm looking at the moment, which is really interesting in terms of tech, is all the apps, how apps are controlling toys and long distance app. I think it's really interesting, especially how this has evolved since the pandemic. Actually, 2020 was my best professional year because my industry just completely boomed and people were doing long distance toy control, you know? So it's really interesting. But what I'm actually working on right now is I am reviewing a pelvic floor trainer. That's a really interesting space for women as well. So I'm reviewing a device that you wear in the vagina, but then you play video games on your phone. And when you squeeze the pelvic muscles, you're kind of killing birds and stuff, you know? So do you have any specific areas in your organization that focus on femtech or things that would be specific for women, such as, you know, menstrual trackers or anything that's related to like women's health or anything like that in tech space?
Yeah, we certainly have had people talk about different health femtech type things. I think we're starting fairly soon like a menopause community, like to make sure it's like a place where our members that might be going through that or about to that just have questions, you know, we want them to have a safe space to now, you know, just to communicate with other people. I think sometimes with companies, I know in the UK, they really seem to be more ahead of others as far as like laws and and supporting women. I still don't know, though, if it's something they necessarily want to go to their HR department and discuss, you know. What we try to do for our corporate partners at WITI is just have these, you know, this plethora of different programs and tools so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can just be powered by WITI, have these types of things that programs that'll help support their employees. Most of them are women, but men, of course, are welcome too, in all these areas, right? So yeah, I think menopause is a big one. So that's going to be one. I think we're starting in May-ish, I think.
But also to approach it from a tech perspective as a business thing, I think is really interesting as well, because I read some statistics recently. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was from a company that was making some kind of lubricant, and they were looking at the market of, menopausal sex products in general is just going to boom like in the next 10 years. It's incredible because a lot of these women, they are, let's say, divorcees, and they're still up for it and up for discovering themselves, and all these different technologies and pelvic floor trainers, and also devices to like laser that do different things to kind of keep the vagina in check, after menopause. So it's just interesting, all this space, and I was just wondering if there was like a kind of tech side to it within the organization that focuses on this type of thing.
Yeah, not yet. We certainly have some members that create products in that space. Haven't necessarily gone there yet. Would love to have it available. And I think companies have to wake up. Tech companies, all companies. I know Cindy with forgot the name of her website.
Make Love Not Porn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, like she has difficulty finding places to host her site because it's looked at as a bad thing or whatever, when it's really, with her whole thing, it's about it's about love and connection and that type of thing. So yeah, just haven't gone there yet. Again, we kind of let our members drive our content.
Oh, yeah.
We're a platform, so we want to support all these things.
I also interviewed this woman called Heather Montgomery. She's the CEO of pleaseme.com. It's kind of like Please Me with a Z. It's kind of like a Facebook of sex positive people. So it's kind of behind a paywall. And she was, it's very interesting talking to her about this from a business perspective. There's lots of support there. People.
Interesting. Well, wasn't there? I think there was like the vibrator at CES that had won, right? They had won something, and then they didn't give them the award or something. I don't know. I just think it's semi ridiculous. But
this is actually taken off the CES. There's a lot more sex tech there at them recently. Since that, and I think they had a huge all that press for free. I mean, it was actually a really good thing in the end because they got the award back the next year. Well, I can't remember the exact story, but it was actually
they did.
It all worked out really well, I think, and it brought a lot of awareness to the to this type of technology, because I think people don't think it's important, but it definitely is. And sometimes that technology is always at the forefront. Like dating apps can be more advanced than lots of other type of networking events or apps, etc.
I mean, porn was one of the big drivers of video compression and e-commerce and those types of things. The AVN show used to be at the same time CES was, up until maybe 10 years ago. With COVID, the timelines are like weird. I'm not sure how long ago it was. But anyway, you're right. It's probably better that they pulled the award rather than, because they were on every news channel. That was good for them.
Also the VR, that's another thing that's kind of coming into that space a lot.
No, it's exciting times, right? It's like just our lives, and what do we want to do with our life, right? That's what technology should be, helping us as humans do things more effectively and make the most of our lives, right? We're only going to get a certain amount of years, but how can we make them wider and do more within them?
Yeah, because I think it's interesting. I'm really interested in biofeedback, and this pelvic floor thing I have gives you these graphs of how strong your clench is and stuff, and the release. I just think that's really motivating rather than just doing it on your own. I think people love this type of thing also related to sleep and relaxation and meditation. It's interesting how these very natural processes can be enhanced through technology.
No, it's exciting times we're living in, Venus, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me now, I have to make my reviews take a lot longer because I have to try lots of different things with the toy, not just the manual way, but just checking all the different technology. And I actually work as a development consultant as well. So I work with engineers who are developing these apps because they need that user, that feminine intuition input,
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
No, for sure. Right. And I think, yeah, I mean, just think of the evolution of technology products for women, whether
Mhm.
it was the cell phone that was too big. And, for a while they made everything pink and they thought that would solve the problem rather than, getting women involved in the process and what do they need and what works for them. There's a big financial upside to that when they get it right.
Mhm.
Um, in addition just to making products that support the users most effectively.
Yeah, I think there's a step, I can't remember exactly what. I think women are more likely to share when something works with friends. From an
Yeah.
advertising perspective, it's very more, has
Yeah,
more.
it's like 40 times, right. And The Power of the Purse, I think, was a book that came out when I first heard that quote. If a woman likes something or dislikes it, they'll tell up to 40 or 50 people, man, maybe it's two or three or something.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's good to do that for sure, to support that market, right? It's all about, and that's, and I just think that's where companies have to shift, they've with women, it's been, and as you kind of put them in these DEI type programs that are the ones that are more just kind of driven by compliance or risk management, it's not about that,
Mhm.
right? It's just like, as men and women, we, put us so we can be ourselves and we can be authentic, and we can be fully self-expressed, and the company is going to win and make a lot more money.
Definitely. That's
And
what
that's what they should be. Yeah.
that's the
And when they're
romance.
not doing right. And when they're not doing that, it's not fair to the investors, the stockholders. There's more innovation when they do that. So I think the human race suffers.
Mm. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
suffering. I saw that you also promoted work-life balance on your website. You have a well-being center. Could you tell us about that?
oh yeah, we do. We have a well-being center. Yeah, we have one thing, and I'm happy to show you too. Can I show you something on the web, real
Oh
if I
yeah,
go
yeah,
is that okay? Let
yeah.
me show you our first
We will
website.
describe it to those who are listening.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll just share with them if they go to the Wayback Machine. I think I need permission. Excuse me
Oh,
to
hang on a
share.
sec. This is in the security thing, isn't it? Security.
Yeah, it's in the
Yeah.
little. There you go. So if you go to the Wayback Machine, and if people don't know about the Wayback Machine, it's at archive.org, and you can go to any website that ever existed,
Mhm.
excuse me, and see, their website. So I'm looking at ours in January 31st, 1997. I think we launched this in 1996. But
Wow.
this was really the original vision of WITI, to create the WITI campus, one worldwide meeting place. In the WITI campus, we have the Technology Center, the Networking Cafe, the Career Center, and the Wellbeing Center.
Wow. It's very
Uh,
advanced at that time.
right. So, yeah. So, certainly currently we have every Saturday, we have yoga nidra meditation.
Mhm.
So it's really a place for our members to focus on all parts of their body, and it's what the yogis had developed thousands of years ago, to kind of down to after they do yoga to really get everything back in alignment. Yeah, anyway, this is stuff we've been doing for years. Certainly once COVID happened, we had online yoga, this meditation, tai chi. What else do we have? Oh, we do a program called Business Not As Usual, a safe space to talk about race, where people, that have any questions or want to know how to deal with that can come to that. And it's a lot of storytelling and opening people's eyes. So anyway, but that's interesting, right? That was kind of the original vision of WITI, to be, to create a platform so that a lot of these groups, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have two programs. One we call Powered by WITI. So that's for companies. They can, a lot of the, where they want programs for their employees or storytelling or just ways to get their brand out to the community. We support them with that. And then our other brand for individuals is called Empowered by WITI. And then that's just the programs like you see, like with the generative AI, the coaching circles, the well-being center. So yeah, we've had many communities that kind of start up, whether in their geographical location or within their different verticals, that then just kind of fold into us. Yeah, but that's how I think we can really make big strides. When we published the glass ceiling report, or the update to the glass ceiling report about a month ago, there's, I think one thing, there's been some progress made, but not enough and not fast enough. And I put the link in the chat for you. It said glassceilinginstitute.witi.com, and the report is available to download. But again, it's just how can companies create a place for employees, for women? There's, in the US, women are the biggest part of the small business market. These are amazing people that leave companies because they don't necessarily feel welcome there or have a place they feel supports them in a lot of cases. And again, just from a purely business standpoint, it kind of makes sense for companies to see how they can leverage this talent, because there's just so much data out there. I'm sure you've heard it. If there's more women executives, the company does better. Women CEOs have a ton of success. And it's not a zero-sum game, it's really about having different thoughts and having men, having women, having people with different backgrounds be innovative and contribute towards the company's bottom line.
Definitely. It's good to see things advancing. I guess also women make different life choices, I suppose, as well. So they need to kind of it's good to have more role models. Because without that, you just don't feel like it's your space, perhaps. I think that's
Totally. Another thing, we launched our second conference. I don't know if you came across it on the website, but was our Women in Technology Hall of Fame.
Oh, I think I saw your YouTube channel, I think.
Yeah. And it was really after our first conference when, as I mentioned, two of the Hidden Figure ladies came. There were just people coming out of the woodwork we had no idea existed. So the following year, we started the Hall of Fame, and as a woman responsible for Kevlar, for bulletproof vests. The world's first programmers were women and had always been referred to throughout history as assistants. And these are the ENIAC programmers. And the story behind them is men during World War II, many of the men were drafted. They searched the country for women that were both physics and mathematics majors. And they did some of the first programming of computers. But they weren't allowed in the same room as the computer because women couldn't get secret clearances that high enough to let them in the room.
Wow.
So there's just story after story out there. And really for us, it's just like, let's have relatable people, right? So the girls coming up and the boys too can see, wow, it's not like crazy that a woman's the CTO of this company, right? OpenAI, their CTO, Mira's a woman. Right? So anyway, yeah, the Hall of Fame's been a journey and pretty amazing. And if you go there, there's like 3 to 5 minute videos on every Hall of Famer. So pretty good stuff.
I'm gonna check that out because I love seeing strong women. I just think I recently watched Mrs. America on HBO. Have you seen that with Kate Blanchett playing Phyllis Schlafly about the ERA? And it's just so interesting that whole time and how there was this resistance for women wanting equality, and a lot of women didn't even want it. It was taking away their protection almost. And
it was crazy, right? I know Phyllis Schlafly on one side, Gloria Steinem on the other. Gloria Steinem had spoken at our first conference.
Oh my God, she's so cool. I mean, she's such a cruel character.
I know. Wow. And then Roger Schlafly, Phyllis's son, worked at my client's company. So it's just kind of funny. We had WITI going, and Roger was just a programmer. He wasn't involved in any of this stuff his mom was involved in, but nuts, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't watched the whole Miss America yet, but thank you for reminding me to put that back at the top of the list, because who could imagine, right? Venus, stuff like that we can't even relate to now. But
Yeah.
that's people went through, you know.
Yeah,
And
when I
I
was studying for my like A levels, which is before university in the UK, I was trying to remember all of this data for it's a psychology exam. And one of my friends, who's my study partner, said, "If we fail, we can just get married. It doesn't matter." I just thought that was quite sad, just to and even looking back at something like Mad Men, which is incredible, how the women just working as a secretaries just to do networking, find a husband, and then retire. You know,
right.
working life for women has changed so much, thank God.
And if you think a lot of the structures of companies and how people work, right? So a lot of that was kind of still created back then
Hmm.
based on how I work and compete. Then I want you to come in and work in some of these roles. And
Hmm.
it's like, well, maybe the roles should be different so I can get the most out of you.
Hmm.
Yes, anyway.
So,
But COVID did that, right? So now we can turn everything upside down. And sorry, I cut you off.
so where's the future of how do you see the close near future of WITI? What are you working on now?
Yeah, I see it. I'm excited. I think it's really about transformation of how companies work with women and the programs. Um, we're going to continue to build globally. I invite you, Venus, your community, anybody we can support, be part of WITI. We have scholarships for people, whatever they need, so we can help them get to the next level. And then for companies, this is a way to build more revenue and attract and retain the people that are in alignment with your company. And I think it's sad in a lot of cases with a lot of the programs where it's kind of this us versus them type mentality has been created. It's not about that. It's leveraging the humans and putting them in spots where they can be happy and be in their zone. And that's who we work with. So companies that get that, if they want to continue to do things or treat women as some type of checkbox number or want to work with us so they can pretend to look good publicly when they have the same nonsense privately in the company, life's too short.
Hmm. A couple of quick questions. What's the book that changed your life?
Oh God. The book that changed my life, Traction, I read recently. That's about the entrepreneur operating system and how to run my company and get kind of past a lot of my stories and stuff. Landmark, right? I'd gone through some advanced landmark courses. If you're familiar with any of that, are you familiar with landmark for the forum or any of this stuff? And it all evolved from like S training. And these are like leadership courses where it's like, how can because I was in this advanced leadership course and I had some resistance for maybe being a leader at WITI. And as my mom phased more into retirement, she'll never retire. She runs a dog camp now. But it's like my story was, oh, what are people gonna think if I'm the president of WITI? Or they think I couldn't do it myself, or why is a man leading this that's focused on women? Meanwhile, we have a chance to transform the world.
Mhm.
So, I was sitting in this kind of one of the weekend sessions where it's just long and it beats you down. And then I was writing it out, and it's like, wait a minute, this is my story. you know, People don't see that probably from the outside. So,
So do you get
yeah.
that a lot then, women? I mean, people asking you why a man is in charge of this, and how do you answer?
Yeah, less and less because again, we're not fighting a cause. although we have, certainly as we grow, it improves everything.
Mm.
Yeah, we're a business-centric company. We think there's an opportunity for our partners to leverage talent. And, I just want to get the conversation into that. And I think the more we can do that, the more women will be taken more seriously at work, treated as equal business partners, not treated as second-class citizens, not looked at, oh, we had a diversity initiative, that's why this woman got hired.
Yeah, that's
Without,
annoying that you want to have people there because of their talent and merit, not because
right.
they're ticking a box. I don't think that's the
Yeah.
right way.
But a lot of feedback I've gotten, especially from Black women, even though they're amazing, have more, experience than many of their counterparts in different roles. But with some companies, it's like they get hired into a role and they're not taken seriously because people are thinking, oh, the DEI group, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, it's like these women are phenomenal.
Yeah, you have to work twice as hard to prove that, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what they did to get there. Give me a
Mm.
break. So,
Okay.
yeah, just, we're going to create a world that works for everybody, Venus, and so everybody can
Amazing.
be authentic and fully self-expressed.
And do you have a phrase or affirmation or quote that you live by? That was quite a good one. We're going to create a world everyone knows.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that was it, right? Yeah, just creating a world that works for everybody. Um, and
Can't get
people
better
can
than that.
be authentic and do what they do.
Amazing.
That's
So how can people find you? Where can people find you?
LinkedIn's probably my best communication platform in this world of information overload. WITI.com is our web address. A lot of programs happening. Come on in. We don't do these one-way events where it's just you're hearing somebody talk. We want to make sure people are building relationships and meeting people in breakout rooms or conversations. So yeah, WITI.com is the best way, or hit me up on LinkedIn, David
Amazing.
Leighton. Not sure exactly what my LinkedIn is, but it's search for me. Not too many of us.
I think I found you just with David Leighton. I
Yeah,
checked your profile earlier today. Yeah, it was just David Leighton. Yeah, I've got it now. Amazing.
perfect.
So thank you so much for taking part in this interview today. I
Thank you,
love
Venus.
our
I
stuff.
appreciate
It's amazing.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.